I don't know, just to what we talked about earlier, that there seems like there's a specific staleness in blockbusters right now,
Mhm.
that there was something that worked really well in the last decade, and whether it's the legacy sequels and Disney seemed to just they had a bunch of studios that were kinda, like, in really going well, and there's momentum there, and it feels like people tried to copy that. You're trying to manufacture excitement, and then just the utter oversaturation of
Yeah.
the market, plus streaming, plus every major franchise has their television version of it, and it just feels like all the excitement's there, and they're just not exciting anymore. "Oh,
Mhm.
$250 million comic book movie? Oh, $250 million Vin Diesel car movie?" Like, the novelty of that is just so gone.
Yeah.
And so the excitement kind of feels like it's fizzled.
I feel like if more of them were better movies, the
Yeah.
excitement maybe wouldn't have fizzled. But I'll tell you specifically when some of the enthusiasm fizzled for me was basically the rise of streaming services. And, in particular, I don't want to ever bash on specific franchises, but Marvel and Star Wars do come to my like I hardcore, like Marvel and Star Wars fan. I would consume
Mhm.
anything that I got over and over and over. I was one of those people who was buying tickets to see something on the big screen multiple times. I got a little overwhelmed
Yeah.
by how many shows I had to keep up with, how many movies I was seeing, and I think they were coming so fast that it was taking away from one of my favorite parts of those franchises, which was the waiting and the anticipation and the conversation that happened in the in between. Instead, don't really like using this phrasing, but it will get the point across, I think, more quickly. And I also don't actually think it's wholly inaccurate, but started to feel a little like homework.
Yeah.
Like I had to keep up with it at such a pace that wasn't exciting to me, and it also wasn't possible for me. And like there was just so much story being
Yeah.
added. And then I was running the risk of like forgetting certain stories or needing to revisit 5 films to be able to fully soak in this next series. I don't know.
So,
Became too much.
9 years into this, being a YouTube movie guy, and just in the last 2 years, the question that people ask me to answer in the reviews is, "What do I need to watch beforehand?" That wasn't a question I was answering in 2019,
Mm.
2020, 2021, but now with every project, they're like, "What do I need to watch before Brave New World?" And I think the other one that's not it's homework, and you took let's use the word used earlier, you took what used to be an event, like just
Mhm.
the big things, and you make it common because it's weekly television.
Yeah.
And so that the specialness kinda disappears, and you go, "Hmm, that thing that sounded so exciting when they first announced it, oh, we could have this every week," and then you get into it and you go, "Oh, hit my mic again." Um, you get into it and you realize, "Oh, that robbed us of some of the specialness,"
Mhm.
and when you're doing that much quantity, the quality dips.
Yeah. I mean, they are some of the biggest companies. I don't think the quality had to dip, but I don't really have the answer for that. But
Yeah.
you know, the other thing that I think about quite often that I think many continuing series have lost sight of a little bit is the fact that, when you're making a movie that big that costs so much, not just like to produce the movie, but also the marketing spends on
Mhm.
those films,
Mhm.
the only way you'll be able to make enough of a profit and to, keep your business afloat in a long-term healthy manner is if you're not narrowing your viewership with each installment. You actually have to make like a conscious decision to make a movie that, yes, in a satisfying way, continues these storylines for
Mhm.
people who have been there and invested from the very beginning, but I do think every single installment of a new franchise also has to act as an on-ramp. That
Yeah.
is the only way to stop the narrowing and narrowing and narrowing. And I feel like we need a little bit of a new jolt, an overhaul,
Mhm.
I don't know, wipe the slate clean and maybe some franchises and starting over. But I think that the audience has narrowed a little
Yeah.
too much for some of them.
And I have that conversation, say
Then
things
again
very
then again, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but, like, as I say that, some people will probably be sitting out there and being like, "Well, look at all the millions of people who just watch Marvel chairs for however
yeah,
many
yeah.
hours." So
That's it. We'll
It's
get to that in
there.
just a
It's
second.
there.
Like, like, been talking about, like, has this guy I posted a video talking about has this thing gotten so big that it kind of imploded, that what was so much fun that's interconnected, then it became homework, and so then it lost the momentum doing the exact same thing that built the momentum, and I had so many people respond saying, what are you talking about? It's not that big. Look at the comics. Look at this. There's more stories. There's more characters. I totally disagree." And you go, "Yeah, but how many people are still reading the comics? Didn't they also get so big that there aren't the on-ramps like there used to be? It's
Mhm.
just tough." And so it's like, if I wanna read a comic, I'll normally go, or what's a great graphic novel that people say was good from the last 10 years? I don't go out and grab and buy a new comic because there's just too much homework. Like, I don't know where it'd be in the middle of it. So I find something that's called or and you look at that's where it feels like this got to that point that it kinda collapsed like that. But you mentioned that bunch of us were sitting there for 5 hours watching
I did not.
shares.
I did not. I refused. I got a little annoyed, honestly.
S I had a whole series of texts with some of my friends like, "Are you freaking kidding me,
Is
shares?"
it fair for me to be so critical of it when clearly it worked? But
It's
personally, I found that to be a very manipulative
mhm.
way to reveal that information.